Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Okay, so I will share the screen now. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 15. Okay, it's a beautiful verse. Please repeat. Jugupsitam dharma kritenu shashatah
जुगुप्सितं धर्मकृतेन
दशशाशतः
संस्थापितं
स्वभावरक्तस्य महान् व्यतिक्रमः
स्वभावरक्तस्य
स्वभावरक्तस्य
महान्
महान् व्यतिक्रमः
व्याधिक्रमः
यद्वाक्यतो धर्म इतीतरस्थितो
यद्वाक्यतो
यद्वाक्यतो
धर्म इति स्थितो
न मन्यते तस्य निवारणं जनः
न मन्यते
नियते
तस्य
तस्य
निवारणं
निवारणं
जनः।
Okay, so to save some time, because we want to discuss two verses, I'm going to skip directly to the translation. The people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way in the name of religion. This is verily condemned and is quite unreasonable because they are guided under your instructions. They will accept such activities in the name of religion and will hardly care for prohibitions. Purport. So, this is Srila Narada Muni speaking to Vyasadeva. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vyasadev's compilation of different Vedic literatures on the basis of regulated performances of fruitive activities, as depicted in the Mahabharata and other literature, is condemned herewith by Srila Narada. The human beings, by long material association, life after life, have a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over material energy. They have no sense of the responsibility of human life. This human form of life is a chance to get out of the clutches of illusory matter. The Vedas are meant for going back to Godhead, back home, going back home, to revolve in the cycle of transmigration in a series of lives numbering 8.4 million is an imprisoned life for the condemned conditioned souls. The human form of life is a chance to get out of this imprisoned life. And as such, the only occupation of the human being is to re-establish his lost relationship with God. Under the circumstances, one should never be encouraged in making a plan for sense enjoyment in the name of religious functions. Such diversion of the human energy results in a misguided civilization. Srila Vyasadeva is the authority in Vedic explanations in the Mahabharata, etc., and his encouragement in sense enjoyment in some form or other is a great barrier for spiritual advancement because the people in general will not agree to renounce material activities which hold them in material bondage. At a certain stage of human civilization, when such material activities in the name of religion, as sacrificing animals in the name of yajna, were too much rampant, the Lord incarnated himself as Buddha and decried the authority of the Vedas in order to stop animal sacrifice in the name of religion. This was foreseen by Narada, and therefore he condemns such literatures. The flesh eaters still continue to perform animal sacrifice before some demigod or goddess in the name of religion because in some of the Vedic literature such regulated sacrifices are recommended. They are so recommended to discourage flesh eating, but gradually the purpose of such religious activities is forgotten and the slaughterhouse becomes prominent. This is because foolish materialistic men do not care to listen to others who are actually in a position to explain the Vedic rites. In the Vedas, it is distinctly said that the perfection of life is never to be attained either by voluminous work or by accumulation of wealth or even by increasing the population. But it is so attained only by renunciation. The materialistic men do not care to listen to such injunctions. According to them, the so-called renounced order of life is meant for those who are unable to earn their livelihood because of some corporeal defects or for persons who have failed to achieve prosperity in family life. In histories like the Mahabharata, of course, there are topics on transcendental subjects along with material topics. The Bhagavad Gita is there in the Mahabharata. The whole idea of the Mahabharata culminates in the ultimate instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. that one should relinquish all other engagements and should engage oneself solely and fully in surrendering to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. But men with materialistic tendencies are more attracted to the politics, economics, and philanthropic activities mentioned in the Mahabharata than to the principal topic, namely the Bhagavad Gita. This compromising spirit of Vyasadeva is directly condemned by Narada, who advises him directly to proclaim that the prime necessity of human life is to realize one's eternal relation with the Lord and thus surrender unto Him without delay. A patient suffering from a particular type of malady is almost always inclined to accept eatables which are forbidden for him. The expert physician does not make any compromise with the patient by allowing him to take partially what he should not at all take. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said that a man attached to fruitive work should not be discouraged from his occupation, for gradually he may be elevated to the position of self realization. This is sometimes applicable for those who are only dry empiric philosophers without spiritual realization. But those who are in the devotional line need not be always so advised. So this is quite a phenomenal verse where Vyasadeva is practically getting chastised by his guru Narada, and here number of important points. But as I mentioned in the group chat, I would like to discuss this in relation to glorification of Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, today being his divine appearance day. So people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy. Srila Prabhupada writes so nicely in the purport that a patient with a certain type of malady, it's right there in the last verse, last paragraph, that a patient suffering from a particular type of malady is almost always inclined to accept eatables which are forbidden for him. This is quite amazing if you think about it, that we are inclined to do exactly that which is bad for us. And we can feel that when we're sick. We start craving all kinds of things that we are not supposed to be having at all. And and Prabhupada says the expert physician does not make any compromise with the patient by allowing him to take partially what he should not at all take. And this expert physician is actually in the realm of spiritual self-realization, in the realm of Krishna consciousness, is the expert guru, is the expert spiritual master, is the expert acharya, who does not make any compromise with his disciples. He doesn't make compromise with those who are his followers. And we can see that in the attitude and personality of of um, of Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, who is following Srila Prabhupada. So, just going over the purport itself, it's here Srila Prabhupada is making the point that beings, by long material association, life after life, have a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over material energy. They have no sense for the responsibility of human life. And then he says that, yeah, going to the next paragraph, Prabhupada says, not the next paragraph, oh yeah, the paragraph after that, Prabhupada says that this compromising spirit of Vyasadeva is directly condemned by Narada, who advises him to directly proclaim that the prime necessity of human life is to realize one's eternal relation with the Lord and thus surrender unto Him. So, the point is that devotees or anyone in general has to be recommended to accept the process of renunciation. This is a very difficult one, and you can see that in today's ISKCON or today's devotional society, so many things are being encouraged that shouldn't be encouraged, shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be, and practically who but Maharaj is emphasizing on things like, just right now, Maharaj is giving a series of classes on on sexual conservatism. Very controversial topic. Who likes to talk about all these things? Nobody likes to talk about all these things. Nobody wants to talk about all these things. But Maharaj is talking. Maharaj is talking, and he knows that he's going to upset people. There are many other conversations. I mean, how I was speaking to a devotee in Mayapur, and I was really amazed. He's a godbrother, he's a very senior devotee. And Maharaj has mentioned to me, I was serving as his secretary, and so I'm aware of this. And he's mentioned to other devotees that Maharaj doesn't like the fact that devotees in Mayapur have these big, big bikes and roaming around with these, fast bikes that make this kind of noise. And Maharaj says this disturbs the whole atmosphere of the Dham. This is not Brahminical. And Guru Maharaj was telling a disciple, Kishore Prabhu, he gave the example. Maharaj said, at least you, like a Brahmana, live like a Brahmana and just ride a bicycle. And yeah, it looks like it's a very simple thing. And obviously, Maharaj is not indicating that those who ride bikes are not Brahmanas, but the attitude that Maharaj pushes. And there it is, Kishore Prabhu is riding a bike 15-20 minutes to Mangal Arati every day, and he goes for Mangal Arati at the Samadhi Mandir at 4:10 in the morning. And so that means he has to leave his house at because he's riding a bicycle. So he has to leave his house at maybe 3:55 or so, which is it's quite early. And but Maharaj is inspiring this level of renunciation. He constantly pushes that. To be Maharaj's disciple, you can never get a compromise from Maharaj that okay, it's okay if I can eat karmi grains. It's okay. And Maharaj goes, pushes it so far that it registers in one's head. There was an incident where devotees were doing Harinam, um, and a devotee who was supposed to get initiation from Maharaj, his initiation got postponed. Why? Because he went and purchased a banana on the street from the banana wala, and Maharaj was seeing, and he didn't take the effort to offer it. Generally, at least mentally, you have to stand there. You have to try to offer it to Krishna. He didn't offer it, and he just ate the banana. His initiation got postponed. Um, Now, of course, as Maharaj's disciples increase in numbers, Maharaj expects that those who are senior leaders, those who are recommending disciples to him, they would understand and they would accept and they would practice those standards, and they would insist on those standards. But if you go directly with Maharaj, you will never. He doesn't compromise on these things. Why? Why doesn't he compromise? Because it's a very simple thing that right here, as Srila Prabhupada is writing, he says that human beings, by long material association, life after life, have a natural inclination by practice to endeavor to lord it over material energy. So we don't require encouragement to engage in sense gratification. We don't. We require discouragement. And even after the discouragement, here and there, we will engage in sense gratification. But at least when we engage in it, we'll feel guilty. When we have a bona fide spiritual master, we will feel guilty about it. We will feel guilty, and it will help us reform. Because we know our Guru Maharaj will not give us even a little inch. He won't even give a little inch. And why is he able to do that? How come he is able to do that? So that's because he's an expert physician. He doesn't make compromise. And okay, so why? Because so then here's this very nice point that Srila Prabhupada is making. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that a man attached to fruitive work should not be discouraged from his occupation, for gradually he may be elevated to the process of self-realization. So people think, so gradually, let's encourage them. Let's encourage them. Oh, you like to do charitable. You can see Maharaj, he speaks out on charitable activity in the movement. He speaks out about opening hospitals. He speaks out about feeding school children, about having mundane education. And people, well, at least we have mundane education. Gradually we can bring them, gradually we can bring them. But the point is, Srila Prabhupada says this is sometimes applicable for those who are only dry empiric philosophers without spiritual realization. But those who are in the devotional life need not be always so advised. Means that this is okay for those who have no idea of devotional service. They have no conception of devotional service. They have no spiritual realization. For them, yes, it is better that they do some charitable. It is better that they become. But once someone has come to the platform of devotional service, if they are encouraged to become sense gratifiers, or to, as the very verse says over here, that people, Narada Muni is saying to Vyasa, people in general are naturally inclined to enjoy, and you have encouraged them in that way, in the name of religion. So Maharaj doesn't allow kirtan melas, which are basically like concerts. It's just a big concert, but they even dim the lights. They have all these kind of instruments. There's women dancing on the stage, women dancing off the stage, and then there are people who jump off and do what, crowd surfing, is that what it's called? Yeah, they do crowd surfing. What's the difference between a concert and that? There's no difference. But then, oh, we are chanting Hare Krishna. Somehow because there is some name of Krishna involved, now it has become. That's the whole point. That Maharaj is very clear as an expert guru. He doesn't blur the line between what is what is giving pleasure to Krishna and what is giving pleasure to our senses. He demarcates that line very clearly. And 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 a disciple, how do we know that? If anybody listens to Maharaj's lectures regularly, it is impossible that they will not gain proper understanding of Krishna consciousness. They have to pay attention, they have to listen to every lecture of his, not pick and choose here and there. If they listen, this is a very, very important thing for anybody who claims to be a follower of Maharaj, is to listen to all of his classes. Every single class, and read all of his books. We should read. Maharaj just wrote all these books. I know several disciples, they have never read Maharaj's books. What kind of disciples are they? You have to read Maharaj's books. You don't have, your own guru has written a book, you don't even know what it is. Of course, there are certain books like Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, which should be read after one has read all of Srila Prabhupada's books. But there are many other books, most of Maharaj's books, which should be read by all disciples. Patropadesh, Lekhamala, Glimpses of Traditional Indian Life. On Speaking Strongly is a very important book. Women Masters and Mothers. Um, now it's not Mothers and Masters. I'm still in, back in 2015. So yeah, it's Mothers and Masters. You should read these books. So Maharaj doesn't, because, and that's the thing. Today it's very common. I'm just looking, somebody posted, an Instagram video, very famous devotee. 3 things you have to do in New Year. Be grateful for everything that has already happened to you. Be grateful knowing that everything that will happen to you is also for your good. Be grateful to be in the moment. What kind of nonsense is this? It's such mumbo jumbo nonsense. What do you make of Maharaj? Yes, they're saffron, they're wearing tilak, and they have a devotional name. So what? So Maharaj doesn't blur that line. He doesn't blur that line. I go to nowadays, it's very common in temples in India today. It's just rampant. There's nothing you can do about it. In temples in India, they hire workers. Part of the salary is for them to chant some rounds of Hare Krishna. Now, therefore, because they chanted Hare Krishna, somehow it is offerable, but it's part of the salary package. We cut the salary, the Hare Krishna also will get cut. Is this devotional service? Is that pure devotional service? There are people, there are literally positions I know where part of the job duty is to chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And they chant. They go around muttering something and they look like they're chanting 16 rounds. But they're chanting. But now they make those people cook because, they're laborers and they'll do what you tell them to do because you're paying them a job, paying them a salary. They have a job. Is this devotional service? Is that not devotional service? What's the kind of prasadam? It's all become very blurry, murky. Everything is blurred up. It's all mixed up. But what happens in that? What happens? What happens is, as Srila Prabhupada writes here, that Vyasadev's encouragement in sense enjoyment in some form or another is a great barrier for spiritual advancement, because people in general will not agree to renounce material activities which hold them in material bondage. People will not agree. They won't agree. We also won't agree. And who are we? We are also we are these materialistic people that are being spoken of. We are trying to come out of that. We're trying to become devotees. But if everything is made murky, then it's very easy for us to hide all our anarthas, hide all our material desires, and call it spiritual, and think that we are now going back home, back to Godhead, and have no clue of what is pure devotional service. That we would be so clueless to even realize that our actions and the descriptions that are there in Srimad Bhagavatam are completely contradictory. We will not realize that. Um, yeah, it's just completely rampant. So actually going to the next verse, because this also is related to this text 16. Okay, please repeat. Vichakshanosyarhati veditum vibhor
Vichano Sritham Vibhor
anantaparasya nivirtitha sukham
Ananta Parashtamivitita Shukham
pravartamanasya gunairanatmanas
Pravatmana Jagunirmatmas
ततो भवान् दर्शय चेष्टितं विभोः
Tato Bhavam Darshyetisha Vibhu.
Translation: The Supreme Lord is unlimited. Only a very expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. Therefore, those who are not so well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness through descriptions of transcendental activities of the Supreme Lord. Another fantastic classic purport of Srila Prabhupada. Theological science is a difficult subject, especially when it deals with the transcendental nature of God. It is not a subject matter to be understood by persons who are too much attached to material activities. Only the very expert, who have almost retired from materialistic activities, by culture of spiritual knowledge, can be admitted to the study of this great science. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that out of many hundreds and thousands of men, only one person desires to enter into the transcendental realization. And out of many thousands of such transcendentally realized persons, only a few can understand the theological science specifically dealing with God as a person. Sri Vyasadeva is therefore advised by Narada to describe the science of God directly by relating his transcendental activities. Vyasadeva is himself a personality expert in this science, and he is unattached to material enjoyment. Therefore, he is the right person to describe it, and Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is the right person to receive it. Let me comment on this purport. So, here, the verse says that only an expert personality, retired from the activities of material happiness, deserves to understand this knowledge. So, only somebody who is free of material desire, completely free from the activities of material happiness, they can understand the science of Srimad Bhagavatam. They can understand this transcendental knowledge. They can understand the nature and activities, pastimes, the name, and the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only they can understand that. Srila Prabhupada was such a personality. And all of our acharyas are such personalities. They had no material activities. They did not engage in material activities. Their activities were completely Krishnarthe Akila Cheshta. They engaged every single minute of their life in Krishna consciousness. And I've had the good fortune of living with Maharaj for 2 years by his great causeless mercy to have such a useless person like me around him. And it is so evident. There is not a single minute where Maharaj is not engaged in something Krishna conscious. He is not, I just cannot, looking at my personal self and just say how much time I waste, how much I have to deal with my stupid mind, and I have to force it to be Krishna conscious, and it's always trying to, Maharaj has nothing like that. No issues at all. When he needs to perform an activity, he performs it with full. There was when this book Mothers and Masters was released. Um, there were people who were writing very heavy emails to Maharaj, and I was very disturbed reading those emails. The way they were criticizing Maharaj directly to him, his own god brothers and god siblings. And I was very disturbed. And I couldn't get my. But Maharaj, he would read those emails, and sometimes he would reply immediately. Sometimes he would take some time to reply. Maybe he'll think about it for one day, and then he would reply. And in the meantime, you'll see he goes about his activities completely normal. It's all personal attack, but just he would read. He was reading at that time. He was reading from Harivamsha Purana. He was reading these amazing pastimes. And he was so much in bliss. Oh, what a wonderful pastimes these are about Lord Vishnu killing Madhu and Kaitaba and this and that. And I am sitting over there. I am fuming in anger, looking at it's so disturbing, those emails. But then when Maharaj sits and writes those emails, he would reply in point by point. He would completely quote Prabhupada and he would totally substantiate, and it would be such a thorough analysis and yet gentlemanly and respectful, especially sometimes if he's dealing with senior devotees and things. But still, at the moment, Maharaj would write that email with full gusto. It would be some, it would be a fiery response sometimes. But after that's over, that's it. He could switch on and switch off things in his mind. I just completely unimaginable. Why? Because he is not engaged. He's not driven by his mind and senses. He is the master of his mind and senses. Why? Because he has taken shelter of he who is the master of the mind and senses, Rishikesh. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Rishikesh. And one who takes shelter of Rishikesh also becomes Rishikesh by becoming Rishikesh Das. So, Maharaj is such a person. Therefore, he is able to show, like here, therefore, those who are not well situated should be shown the ways of transcendental realization by your goodness. And Maharaj is able to show that to us. He's able to show us what is Krishna consciousness, what is Sahajiya, what is following Prabhupada, what is not following Prabhupada. I mean, this series, I'm listening to it again because it's so nectarian. This Guru issues series, the way Maharaj is analyzing these topics and the way he's speaking about it, it's just absolutely amazing how Maharaj speaks about these things. It's all there in Prabhupada's books, but we, at least persons like myself, are too dull-headed to pick it out. We need guidance of Maharaj. And here in the purport, Prabhupada says that only the very expert who have almost retired from material activities by the culture of spiritual knowledge can be admitted to the study of this great science. So, that Vyasadeva is himself a personality expert in the science, is unattached to material enjoyment. Maharaj is such a personality, unattached. He still doesn't have a bank account in his name. What does he own? He has one laptop. That's it. He doesn't have anything in his name. Nothing. Whenever money comes to Maharaj, immediately it goes somewhere. Immediately it's given to disciples. It's never, ever used inappropriately. Immediately he will give it. At least in his personal sense, he will immediately give it to some project, something where money is. He won't keep anything. And if he gets a lot of money, it's not that suddenly you see, okay, now he got a lot of money, now you see some fancy new gadget or there's a new car standing outside. Nothing. There will be no difference. Whether you give $1 to Guru Maharaj or you give him $10 million, Guru Maharaj before and after that will be the exact same person. This is not, but generally people are not like this. Everybody changes. When we change a position, when we change place, when we change associate, immediately we get changed. But Maharaj is an example of Sthitadi Muni. He's steady. He's unaffected. And therefore, he can teach. So Prabhupada continues the purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost theological science, and therefore it can react on the layman as medicinal doses. Because it contains the transcendental activities of the Lord, there is no difference between the Lord and the literature. The literature is the factual literary incarnation of the Lord. So the layman can hear the narration of the activities of the Lord. Thereby they are able to associate with the Lord and thus gradually become purified from material diseases. The expert devotees can also discover novel ways and means to convert the non-devotees in terms of particular time and circumstance. Devotional service is dynamic activity, and the expert devotees can find out competent means to inject it into the dull brains of the materialistic population. Such transcendental activities of the Lord for the service of the Lord, such transcendental activities of the devotees for the service of the Lord can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic men. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers have exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. By following the same method, one can bring the materialistic men of this age of quarrel into order for peaceful life and transcendental realization. So, here, um, Srila Prabhupada is making the point that the expert devotees can discover novel ways and means to convert the non devotees in terms of particular time and circumstance. Voila. There's one a devotee that Maharaj is having a conversation with, and he put out a recent video, and there's a whole thing. This time, place, circumstance, time and circumstance, and this and this. Where are the people? Where are the devotees? Where are you making devotees? What is your time, place, circumstance? Time, place, circumstance doesn't mean that time, place, circumstance is not is applied to make people into devotees. But time, place, circumstance is not used to water down existing devotees to make them look like karmis. This is where everybody talks about time, place, and circumstance among devotional society. Nobody is talking. How many people are arguing within our society about how much Harinam is going on? Nobody. Who cares? Hardly people talk about that. They all talk about time, place, circumstance to have Kirtan Mela. This is what they talk about. It's mostly this time, place, circumstance thing is so heavily misused. But we have to understand that Srila Prabhupada is making this point after making the point in the previous purport that people have to be encouraged towards renunciation. That is the novel way. How in a novel way can you encourage them to become renounced? Srila Prabhupada did that. Srila Prabhupada did that. Srila Prabhupada gave devotees opulent prasadam, but through that prasadam, he made them give up everything else. That is novel way. That is a novel way. Srila Prabhupada came up with this whole strategy of book distribution, how these books need to be distributed, and this whole strategy of how the book distribution, how the donations in the book distribution support the mission. This is absolutely fantastic. And here is the thing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his subsequent followers exhibited expert dexterity in this connection. What connection? That they can bring a new order of life to the foolish society of materialistic men. It means that there has to be a new order. What does an order mean? A new order means that the society is being transformed completely. People have to be changed. A new order is not going to happen by devotees becoming more and more like karmis, eating like karmis, talking like karmis, dressing like karmis, everything like karmis. That's not a new order of life. Okay, you might not be able to do the exact same things that Srila Prabhupada did during Srila Prabhupada's time. But the point is, the principle is that we have to bring a new order of life. And we see how Maharaj is emphasizing that. This is our personal experience at Krishna Life, how he's transformed all the devotees over here. And now we're by Guru's mercy, Guru Maharaj's mercy, Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we are starting this farm project. And this is the desire. We have to bring a new order of life. Now, we may be attracting people in multiple ways to come here. But to come here and do what? To come here and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. This is what we want. We were once at a temple where devotees are listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. They come to the last chapter of the 5th canto. What is the last chapter of the 5th canto? Description of hellish planets. And they skip it. The whole chapter they skip. They say, oh, people can read that privately. We want to go and relish the nectar of the holy name. Such rascaldom. People don't want to hear things. They only want to hear the sweet things. They don't want to hear this part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. No, they don't like to discuss this. They'll go and discuss something. Oh yeah, we'll go and discuss something sweet, something nice. Go discuss about Govardhan Puja, something like this. So, but we can see how Maharaj, there are many classes where he's given beautiful classes on pastimes. His classes on Radha Katha are very, very esoteric. They're so, and this is the other thing. People cannot accuse that. Some foolish people say that Maharaj is, oh, he's always talking about dry subject matters, all the time talking about giving up sense gratification. He's got no higher realization. Nonsense. The topics that he speaks at these classes at Radha Katha just go completely over the head. And Maharaj is not an ordinary personality. Personally had the good fortune of witnessing him crying giving those classes. Very highly elevated subject matters, and sitting over there and wondering like, wow, this. But Maharaj is speaking those for posterity. He's on that platform. And but he's speaking so much of the stuff that we need to hear so that we can eventually come up to that platform where we can actually, otherwise we cannot be able to relish those things. That relishment will be very external. It will be like acharyas call it like licking. Prabhupada said that they're licking the bottle of honey from outside. You won't actually be able to taste it. The access is not allowed. So, if we follow the method, then we will become free from this influence of Kali, where our minds are always disturbed, and we can engage in a peaceful life with transcendental realization that is pleasing to Guru and Krishna and helps further the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And that is the thing, is ultimately is to surrender to a bona fide spiritual master and take his guidance, take his shelter. It's extremely important. It is the most important thing in our spiritual life, and we are very fortunate to have the shelter and guidance of a devotee, like a sincere disciple and follower and current representative of the great Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. And I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, my question is like, as an aspiring disciple or those who are inspiring from him, so what should be their basic ideology, like how they should go? Because I was hearing the today's lecture, 9 minutes lecture in Hindi of Maharaj, and Maharaj said like it was totally opposite. I was very wondered when Maharaj said like how he was saying, yeah, I'm a servant of Hari Vaishnav and Hari Guru Vaishnavam. So in this way, like it's like, and the same way things in some videos, as you said, some controversial videos, he is like roaring up, and at the same time the humbleness, and at the same time the whole especially newly aspiring devotees like me and others, like how they should say these things and they can inspire and in a proper way, because sometimes people only even as an aspiring disciple, they only hear what they want to hear. So how we can set our mentality, like what should be one's mood to understand him and how one can understand him properly, so he will be humble at the same time and strong in the principle.
Yeah, I mean, you have to observe the actions of a pure devotee. You have to observe the actions of those who are his senior followers, also senior disciples, who are representing him properly. That's how we learn. It is by observing. It is not a full. This is not a fully theoretical science. It is actually more practical than theoretical. There are the principles, but how the principles are applied, how they are done in different circumstances, it requires observation, which is why association is extremely important. That if we truly want to be a disciple of Maharaj, then we have to associate with those who are fixed up disciples of Maharaj. That's the way we learn. That's the only way we're going to learn. Otherwise, there are devotees who think they understand what Maharaj is saying and they don't. I mean, you know, um, I give a far out example in this regard. There's devotees. So, okay, Maharaj is trying to teach women's roles. He's trying to teach traditional practices. And one of the practices is that a woman, when she is in her monthly cycle, she is not supposed to come to the temple. And okay, so disciples of Maharaj, they take that. They understand, they talk about it. So the women, within their discussions, they're discussing how, yes, why this is the fact, because women in their monthly cycles, they are, it's a form of sickness. It's a form of bodily kind of physical type of sickness. It causes weakness, causes imbalance of hormones, which affects the mind and things like that. And they're supposed to rest. They're supposed to rest at that time. Now, traditionally, the women would have a house separately meant for that in many traditional homes back in the day. We're speaking 150 years ago. There would be a place in the back, and the women would go and stay there. And those 3 days, food would be kept outside for them, and they would take and they would eat, and they would be in a contaminated state. They wouldn't even take a bath. Now, and they wouldn't do any activity. Now, when Maharaj came to Krishna life, and he heard that when the Matajis are on their cycle, they don't go to the temple. Then he asked, what do they do? Well, they don't do anything. They don't do anything. Maharaj, but they're in their cycle. They're not supposed to do anything. That's tradition. No, but they've been raised up like this. They've grown up in an atmosphere where there's such a concept. Even when you're in cycle, not cycle, everybody does everything these days. So how can they suddenly just curtail like that? That's not good for them. They should do something. And then Maharaj was saying how they could tie books. Now one would think, traditionally you're not supposed to touch these books. The Shastra. Obviously, they wouldn't touch anything. So what to speak about touching Shastra? But at the same time, we distribute these books. We distribute these books to one and all. And who knows who's on which cycle and who's on where. We don't. So Maharaj is at the same time, he's practical. He's realistic. Yes, we need to go. So they're already following it to some degree. We're not just allowing them to come to the temple, do everything. No, some degree they are following, but where they are at, even when they are within the ashram or the house, they should engage in some activity. Otherwise, the mind will eat them up. Where is the mind going to go? You've grown up with this mind. So this kind of practical understanding, it comes by association. It is, you will not find this anywhere. You can read it, you will not find. It comes by associating. So that's how we all have to learn, including myself. That's why I like to go and take association of my senior god brothers, because I find their activities and their actions to be extremely instructive. I learn so much from them. I just associate with them for one day, and it keeps me going for like so long. Because it's so inspiring. These devotees are so senior. They've absorbed so much from Guru Maharaj, and they reflect him so nicely. So that's the way, Prabhu. Otherwise we can sit here and speculate about. It's some level is there, but really, as much as possible, as often as possible, wherever possible, whenever possible, we should associate, because Sangau Shakti Kali Yuga. Sangau Shakti Kali Yuga. That in Kali Yuga, strength comes through association. And it's through association that we will gain strength, we will gain everything in association. Okay. Sunil?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare.
Uh, what is the usual purpose of this Kirtan Melas?
What is the purpose of the Kirtan Mela? You're asking you're asking a really wrong person this question. We don't organize Kirtan Mela, so you asked me the purpose of it. I'm going to be pretty critical about it. It's like the the stated purpose is for people to come and do Sankirtan. Okay? People come together, we are coming together and chanting the holy name. And Maharaj, he speaks about it. He says, okay, we can have Kirtan Mela, but why we should also have Shravan Mela? And he says in Kirtan, how you should do Kirtan Mela? He says, you pick one tune and keep singing the same tune. Same melody, you just keep singing. Then you know if you have taste for the holy name or not. But if the tune has to keep getting changed, if we have to keep having some kick and there has to be some elongated tunes, there has to be a flute solo going on and this and that and or there has to be five Matajis in the mic chorus singing after the male, then there's something else, some other kicks are there. So, Kirtan Mela purported purpose is to come and do Sankirtan, is to come and chant the holy name together. But that is actually supposed to be done more in public than indoors. Devotees can also do. For instance, on the farm, Maharaj wants us to come up to the standard of having at least 3 hours of Kirtan every day. And in Salem, Maharaj was telling Gokul Chandra Prabhu that he wants to have 24-hour Kirtan in Salem at the temple. So then, anyways, eventually when the temple gets started, they'll start with 4, 8, like this, and make their way up 24-hour Kirtan. So, the point is, it's great to have holy name recitation, but it shouldn't become a concert that now the holy name is going to be used for our sense gratification.
Yeah, well, that's a very nice point, Prabhuji. That was very nice. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching some videos and Srila Prabhupada also did, outside kirtans. So I was wondering,
During Prabhupada's time, all the kirtans were outside only.
Right.
There was no concept. The concept of Kirtan Mela didn't exist during Prabhupada's time.
This
Now,
kind of
during
concept.
Prabhupada's time, only 2, 3 devotees will be back at the temple. Pujari, temple president, one devotee to clean and do the laundry or do something like this. That's it. Everybody else was out on the street, either chanting the holy name or distributing books. And Srila Prabhupada he did want more kirtan on the farms because farm is different. So, okay.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Priyam?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanvat Pranam. Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Jai.
Thank you for sharing Maharaj, telling Maharaj glorification. I also started listening to that Radha Katha. There are so many parts. I did not finish it yet, but I'm there where he's talking about Buddhism and all. So
That's how
yeah,
it's
it's
done.
very nice to hear. And I just wanted to share, I heard some Leelas Maharaj did in past. We always seen his a lion version, but there is a humble version of him as well. I heard one pastime from him, like it really touched my heart. That one day he was in South India, I think in Gujarat. He came in the morning and some of the brahmacharis were not there in Mangala Aarti, and then he rejected the prasadam. He said, "I won't take prasadam." He said in Hindi, "मैं नहीं खाऊंगा," and disciples asked, "महाराज क्यों नहीं खाओगे?" थे मुझे प्रायश्चित तो करना पड़ेगा ना, मेरे disciples मेरे ब्रह्मचारी अगर मंगला में नहीं आएंगे, for you guys I will stay hungry. So ऐसे कई बार हुआ है कि महाराज stayed hungry for days and then just because for us, so that he's doing prashchit from us, and that was really touching for me. And there was another pastime when महाराज, because महाराज अपने तो disciples को थोड़ा chastise कर देते हैं, usually ना थोड़ा गुस्सा हो जाएंगे, but if another Guru Maharaj disciple, he gives so much love. So he was in South India at a temple, and there was a guy. He's professionally a driver only, but he got initiated from another guru and got second initiation. And usually we we don't get second initiation unless we we leave everything. So he got puffed up that, oh, I got second initiation. So he got save of Guru Maharaj to drive him around the city while his stay. So one day he came to pick Maharaj out of the temple, and Maharaj couldn't see him. So Maharaj said, "Driver kahan hai? Where is the driver?" He just said that, which is not even wrong. He is a driver by profession. And then he got angry. He got offended. He's like, "How can Maharaj tell me, ask, call me by name driver? I'm second initiated. He
Yeah,
should
I
call me
heard this.
Prabhu or my Diksha name." And then after Maharaj got to know, Maharaj actually went to him and apologized that I'm sorry, I said that. Maharaj being on such a big higher position, he's apologizing. And Geet Govind Mataji also telling that even if two disciples of him get into fight, Maharaj himself come in between and says, ask sorry, he asks
Yeah,
forgiveness, on behalf of them. So who would do that actually? Who would do that? It's our Guru only. No matter he's strict from outside, but he's super soft from inside. He's doing every effort so that we can get close to Krishna.
yeah,
So I even write it down. I wrote down so many. There's like more than 15 or 16, but these two were the main I was keep thinking, keep meditating on. So I wanted to share with you guys. So this is it. Hare Krishna.
yeah. Hare Krishna. Panish,
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. How are you?
I'm good,
Happy
Prabhu. How are
yeah.
you?
Hare Krishna. Yes, good, good, good.
Prabhuji, how, as Krishna said to Arjuna, that yoga, which we go through in daily life, is different. And he taught Arjuna that real yoga is getting the body and mind in our control.
What is your question?
So, how can we practice that in our daily life in order to think always about Krishna and get fixed mind without wandering?
Yeah, well, that's why we have to chant Hare Krishna. You see, until actually, um, we have. That's why initially the main focus for somebody who's starting to practice Krishna consciousness is that they develop taste for chanting the holy name. They chant one round, then every day means 108 times. Then they make that steady. Then they increase it to two. Then like this they increase. They come up to chanting 16 rounds a day. The truth is, until we come up to the platform of chanting 16 rounds a day, it is impossible to control the mind. Even after chanting 16 rounds, it's difficult, but you can ask devotees who are chanting 16 rounds if there are days or times that they have experienced when they didn't chant the 16 rounds. It will tell you it is day and night difference between what the mind does. It's completely crazy. So after we come to that platform, then you can also ask devotees who are reading every day what happens when they go on for some time and they haven't read. You can see the mind, and then when you start reading, immediately the mind comes back into control. So the process is actually very simple. It's actually a very simple, very straightforward process, but we need to apply ourselves to it. And until we apply ourselves to it, it's actually it, you know it's not possible to control the mind because it's a process. Just like you want to control a car, you have to hold the steering wheel. If you don't hold the steering wheel, how can you control the car? So there is a process to control the car. There's a process to control the wheels, which is to hold the steering wheel. But if we fail to hold the steering wheel, then you cannot gain control over the car. So the body is like that. In fact, Krishna compares the body to a machine. Yantra Rudani Maya. He directly compares it to a machine. So that is the process of Krishna consciousness. You're already practicing. You just keep going on. Try to increase your chanting, um, and become steady in reading, and you will see the difference. Have you ever tried? I mean, you have to try someday. But if you get this opportunity, this is how I knew it. First time I chanted 16 rounds. I was like, wow, it's like, this is like, I feel like I'm on the top of the world. I feel like I'm already liberated. I'm already like, already achieved love of God or something. It's a great, it's a neophyte, but it's like, but you feel that difference. It's ecstatic. You've chanted 16 rounds. It's really, really, because it's actually powerful. And I'm speaking for those who are already chanting every day. You may kind of forget about it, about how much of a world of difference it actually makes. And sometimes, in rare circumstances, when you fall really, really, really sick, sometimes even initiated devotees just can't make their 16 rounds. And I mean, it's still, your mind really gets the better of you at those kind of circumstances. And those who are fixed up devotees, they, um, they never give up chanting their rounds.
Understand, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, last question. Narayan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Then Pranam,
Hare
Jai Shri
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Pranam.
So Prabhuji, I was just reading, you sent the list for the books that we have to read, like the 19 books. After that, I completed like 4 of those. And recently I completed Raj Vidya. So in that I learned that whatever changes, we can't call it eternal, is as eternal. So like if we call that our Sanatana Dharma is eternal, then there should be no changes in it. Like Prabhupada
Yeah.
writes that.
Yeah.
That's why I was then thinking, like people give it an excuse that okay, it's again time, place, circumstances. So I was like, okay, then how is it eternal?
Yeah. I mean, the principles of Krishna consciousness cannot change. Yeah, only the details can be modified. Um, you know, Principles of Krishna consciousness cannot change. Mangal Arti, you have to get up, you have to have it early in the morning. Some temples they have it at 4:15, some temples at 4:30, some temples at 5 o'clock. Now you can't move Mangal Arti to 7 o'clock. Not possible. It's a principle. Detail, okay, half hour here, there, doesn't make the bogus. So that's eternal. So it's like that. The process of Krishna consciousness is eternal. It's a good point. Okay. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj ki jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindu bhavacha
You'll be
patitanam
able to become a ball and be awake, make me on the